1. Behavior analysis and the functional approach to intervention. Behavior analysis is at a choice point of its own making, or own that make it plain that once people start to speak, listen, and reason in a sophisticated way, the contingents of reinforcement are no longer the sole ontogenic cause of our behavior. Pause to think about your own thinking and how dominant it can be. If an important meeting is coming up, you are thinking about how to handle it. If you are feeling anxious, lonely, or sad, or if you are pondering why you feel this way, what are you going to do about it? If your coworkers fail to appreciate you or your friends let you down, those about who you are, or ruminate about past wounds and betrayals, can come to dominate these moments so truly that they draw our attention to the present environment and what is really happening here and now. These are the kinds of creatures we are. Most psychological approaches start here, and as they attempt to get at a hold on the essential analysis of human functioning, they succumb to the strong tendency to chase uh, language concepts and their apparent extension into applied affairs using the tools and methods of top-down normative nomothetic science. Personally, personally tips, uh, cognitive style stage, mental disorders, syndromes, mental and most of all normative cause of all kinds. Behavioral analysis started in a very different place and the study of individual non-human animals as a kind of preparation to think high precision and high scope principles that could allow human functioning to be addressed and human will be to be advanced set. Behavior analysis was not designed to stop at the water's edge of complexity, nor to be concerned about the behavior of the rat for its own sake. The, the whole point was to develop such powerful functional principles that, said a warning to, could be imagined and then solved step by step. These principles would be developed and vetted using hydrographic methods that stayed true to a psychological level of analysis. The whole organism interaction in with a large context described historically and situationally. The approach will be bottom up, not top down, inductive, empirical, and experimental. Concepts will be functional, not topographical. They will be generalized to the nomothetic layer gradually, as the data warranted through replication, systematic extension, and application. Every everyone developing this field that way, and Skinner in particular, knew it was a strategic gamble and there might be kinds of situated action that required accounts that went beyond what could be seen in the behavior of non-human animals due to a factor beyond the obvious one of complexity. Skinner himself said that difference I expect to see revealed between the behavior of a rat and man, aside from enormous difference of complexity, like in the field of verbal behavior. In the bottom-up approach, that would only be revealed if it occurred. Meanwhile, the field pushed on, refining its context while looking for evidence of cruel functional difference. However, no animal has actually ever been taught to perform and enter new behavior in this early and contribute experimental arrangements. Pigeons pick, cracks forage, and push on objects in their environment. That is the kind of creatures they are. Behavior scientists were able to bring this behavior under stimulus control. The peak response was brought under the control of the these and spectral patterns. Pushing and foraging response were made to occur with a mechanical lever and response to likes and other gadgets. Yet in some form, the response is sometimes this animal array due to survive. What then is unique human behavior? Skinner had described a theoretical approach to verbal behavior that did not force behavior analysis into that choice point that the field now faces. Now, uh, although verbal behavior was said to be mediated by social reinforcement that required a special training of an audience. The implication of that adjustment were not disrupted to the extent existing strategy of behavior analytic research. Indeed, by that definition, the interaction between an experimental and a laboratory animal compromise a small but genuine verbal community. So nothing fundamentally had changed in the analytic approach. A few years later, Skinner introduced the distinction between contingent shepherd and root governed behavior, but this too did not fundamentally alter the trajectory of a behavior analytic outcome. Some argued that itself it could be said that specification meant in the definition of rules as a contingent specific stimulus, but that never happened. In the latter part of the last century, the indications that change had arrived were there in multiple forms, but professional change in applied behavior analysis (ABA) blunted their impact. Research on rule governance uncovered findings that were hard to explain using only direct programmed contingents. Stimulus equivalence showed how early and how profoundly diverse stimulus relations could alter human behavior in the absence of direct reinforcement. And the study of multiple stimulus relation and relational framing showed how widely the concept of derived stimulus relation applied. None of these developments hit mainstream applied behavior analysis with full force because the even more enormous impact of the professionalization of applied behavior analysis was taking center stage during this same era. There was much to the specific how to work with applied populations from within the purview of board certified behavior analysis and before the population most of relevance to these professional standards was people with development disorders. Masters labor training programs proliferated, the profession dramatically expanded, and the field demonstrably narrowed its focus to these populations. Research that might have expanded to the scope of the field, especially in the area of verbal behavior. Instead, itself began very dominantly focused on persons with autistic spectrum disorders or other development disabilities. Some of whom did now show stimulus equivalence. The point of emphasis began the teaching of elementary verbal operant abilities, like tacting and manding, and extending accounts based on them, even if those accounts were exclusively conceptual. What has changed uh, in the last decade is that this process of pro, professionalization has settled in for that in for the long-haul young BCBAs who feel less connected to all theoretical wars are looking for help with full awareness the presence of even the simple derivative stimulus relations enormously reduces the clarity of anguish provided by traditional functional analysis. Uh, every practicing BCBA is well aware of the fact they just do, do not know what to do about it. Similarly, BCBAs know that parents and the staff alike need additional support in dealing with their own psychological events in order to implement traditional behavioral programs. Simple in system that they follow behavioral programs in hardly an adequate response. What, however, is the alternative?